A cop movie out on Netflix, new Mexican documentary about the Mexico City police and the realities of life in the force. It's split into 5 chapters, and initially it introduces us to 2 members of the police force and shows us their daily life and struggles through the lens of a quasi-documentary where they do talk to the camera about their experiences, but then we also see reenactments of some of those scenes in what are clearly staged and acted out scenarios with actors reenacting those experiences again. And it goes like that for a while until halfway through the film there's a major pivot and the premise is kind of turned on its head, and I won't say exactly what happens, but what was revealed, but it reframes everything we've seen up until that point. And then there's another similar pivot happening in the final chapter as well. So structurally speaking, it's very interesting because of the things it does, because of how it plays with the documentary convention and subverts your expectations multiple times. But I have a huge problem with it, which is that after all these impressive filmmaking acrobatics, it arrives at a certain conclusion, and you think to yourself, well, that's not really a new discovery or anything. It's pretty much what your first thought would be when talking about the Mexican police, probably. So to use an analogy, watching this movie to me was like going to a fancy bar and telling the bartender to surprise you with a drink, to surprise me with a drink, and then he begins to juggle the bottles, throw the shakers around, pour ingredients while spinning around. There's flames and shit, and then at the end he just pours me a whiskey and coke. And I think to myself, well, this was an entertaining show to be sure, but was it really necessary considering what we arrived at? So, as weirdly as it sounds in the context of a documentary, out of all things, I do think that it's style over substance, and as interesting as it is structurally speaking, the story presented, as well as the conclusions that the movie draws, are very underwhelming.